Welcome to Talk. So, we just basically showed a video of Roman Reigns, and to make it quick, he has leukemia, and he's retiring.
No, he's stepping away.
For the time.
Yeah, he's
for
just
the
stepping
time
away
being.
for the time to recover. I guess he's had it before and beat it before when he was younger, but it came back, and his big, speech is basically telling the crowd and everybody, all his fans, to not give up. Life gives you curveballs, and either you gotta step in the plate and swing, or just walk away. So
That's
he's
cool.
choosing to fight.
Well, he's gonna get through it, and
I'm gonna get through this.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So that's amazing that he actually had leukemia for 11 years, and then he
Yeah.
was just fighting through it. Didn't tell nobody, and
Well, he had it when he was younger, then he beat it. So he, it's like blood, cancer, just through 4 different types. But he beat it, and then from there he it got remission basically. Came back.
Damn. Well, I hate to just change the subject, but we did just get cut off because we played that video, and that's not cool. So Robert said that he's gonna eat a beetle.
Yeah, I blew it. So
he blew
I
it.
guess
So just to let you guys know, show him the beetle. So we got this coconut beetle. It's a rhino coconut beetle from the Pacific that's eating up the coconut trees. It's devastating the Pacific. Whoa.
They got nervous.
He's playing with his food.
I'm shaky.
It's nasty. If you go and watch the earlier video, me and Cameron ate one of those beetles earlier, and now Robert's gonna eat it. And he's hungry. Go ahead, do it.
Oh gosh.
Go ahead. This is what we think about the beetle, guys. Right here. This is what we think about it.
All right,
Eat it.
2, 3.
Do it. Chew it. You got it. You got it. You gotta eat it. You gotta eat it.
Give him water.
He has water right there. You got that. Look at that.
So dry.
Hey, shout out to Robert. Look at that. It's really dry. Yes. If you guys want to see us eating that coconut beetle, it's really dry. It's nasty.
I think I have a shell. Look at that.
Does it taste like coconut?
Yeah, does it taste like coconut?
It's like coconut crap.
So, that's what we think about the coconut beetle. We eat it.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
So we all tried it.
It tastes like fertilizing dirt. Ugh.
So
How'd you
I'm
eat that?
right now. Once again, can you share?
Yeah, my bad.
I'm slow at this.
We got
Anyway,
this.
it kind of mixed us up. So we're gonna start off the show again. We are live. Please engage with us. We're gonna be talking a lot about the Hawaiian culture. We're gonna be going throughout the Pacific throughout this season, and we're gonna stop in different islands throughout the Pacific, not just Polynesia. We're gonna hit Guam, possibly Philippines. Possibly. There's a lot of Pacific Islanders, but then Rapa Nui, Samoa, Tonga, all the islands we can. We're going to introduce some artifacts that are over 100 years old and then discuss it and kind of tie it in with the culture we're discussing, and then tie tattoos to that. So join us, discuss, talk, share stories, all that. And here we go. So today we're going to talk about Hawaii, and I first want to start off with a quick video. Last season we had Brooke Parker on, and awesome artist. He's a great storyteller. If you guys haven't seen that episode, check season 1. And Brooke Parker, he tells the story, some battles in the past. But then here's a quick clip of him talking about the palawa that the Hawaiians would wear. Check it out.
Spring wheels were a manifestation of one of the gods, Kanaloa, and the teeth of the ivory, as you see on the guys I pinked, yeah. This is Kalani'o Pu'u. His name, Kalani'o Pu'u, his original name was Kaleo Pu'u, or the chief of the heavenly bud. They're talking about his palawa. The Oahu chiefs, they wore them like that. They didn't like to carve it. The Big Island guys like to carve it, so that's why you have the one that looks like a. It's not official. It's shaped this way. It's meant to represent somebody that spoke with authority, or the extended tongue, or ha. Our Maori cousins really went even more so in that idea of ha.
there you go. That's a good description. And we were able to get, we're building our museum here. It's the People's Museum. It's your guys' museum. It all started off with Uncle Helamano coming out and discussing culture, and then taking him to antique shops, and then just intrigued me as far as culture and artifacts and being able to tie the culture with the tattoos that we do. And we've been able to obtain a bunch of different artifacts that I feel is protecting the artifacts and sharing it. It's not so much, we're not trying to dig up graves and get artifacts or anything. That's where it belongs, in the graves. That's for the culture. But other artifacts that are in auctions and dealers or just different people selling it off,
or something like that.
I was able to get a hold of a certain collector that was just getting rid of all his artifacts, hundreds of them, and I'm trying to protect as much as I can to share it with everyone. So anyways, I was able to get some whale's tooth, and I'm going to share some of that with you guys today. And it's awesome. It's really crazy because these are over 100 years old. I'm going to start off with this one. This is a sperm whale tooth, and like Brooke Parker said, it is ivory and was used to carve a palawa on that the chiefs would wear. And he said the Big Island chiefs would form into a tongue. Do you say Big Island?
Yeah.
And then the Oahu chiefs would just kind of wear it. Just wear it. And the god Kanaloa was god of the ocean, and I guess that gave the mana and the strength if you're wearing one of those. And the Hawaiians wouldn't hunt whales, but they would beach on reefs and stuff. So
how would they carve them?
They had adze and different rocks and shells,
like a certain
and just
type
different
of rock.
Certain tools that they use for certain materials to be able to carve. And then
it looks really
stones, shells,
like
different
delicate
things.
almost when you get to maybe.
Yeah, and there are different type of whale teeth. This one, it's more shiny, and I don't know exactly why, because it's so different. But this is a sperm whale tooth, and I think it was sanded down or something, because it's very shiny and smooth. But they're very heavy, and this is ivory. It's real whale's tooth. If you really look, there's a discoloration. And I believe it's the tip of the tooth is the only thing that showed, and then the rest is the root.
I think this one flossed. That's why it's shiny.
That's why.
She
Yeah,
flossed.
with the algae.
I was like,
And this one is a bull whale.
That one's cool.
And this is a large, very large one. Really heavy. This one is actually Uncle Helamano. So it's not legal to own it's legal to own it. It's not legal to sell it or to buy it. So it fell in our laps. But this is very cultural, and it's sacred. It's Fijians would it's called tubua, and it was very sacred there. All the different cultures had different meanings and reasons why. But what's good about this one is you could see the root. And what showed right here, only this showed. Meanwhile, this whole part was underneath.
Oh, dang.
And it's heavy. It's really heavy. And this one's about almost 9 inches long, which is a really large tooth.
Yeah.
So
it's heavy.
It's cool to get hands-on, to be able to feel what our ancestors felt and to understand why they did what they did. And it wasn't just for decoration. It actually was for mana. It was for recognition. Like when you saw someone wearing that, you knew what was going on. And they would actually wrap it with human hair.
Yeah, I mean, to even think that they would make what they made out of it, but just to think how they get it.
Right.
And yeah, so to that point, I mean, of course you're going to be like, wow, he's got a whale's tooth. Like, he's got to be somebody for them to get it in the first place out of the whale. You know?
Right. Yeah, for sure. And Kanaloa, god of the ocean, there was 4 gods, and Kanaloa was god of the ocean. There was many gods, and those were the 4 main ones though: Ku, Lono, Kanaloa, and Kane. And Kanaloa came in many forms. The whale was just one. So the Hawaiian culture had different religions at different times, and that's what I want to talk about with the culture and tattooing, because it's very intricate, and every culture when it comes to tattooing is different. They tattooed for different reasons. So I want to discuss that before going into symbols, because later on we're gonna do our first ever TATtalk tutorials. We're gonna start drawing. Yeah, TATtalk tutorials, guys. I'm gonna start drawing and kind of showing things that I learned. Now remember, this is just what I've learned, and I'm sharing that. I'm sharing that because I think we have to.
Yeah.
In order to carry on the culture, we have to share what we know. And I've been tatting almost 20 years, and I believe that the knowledge that I received throughout the years needs to be passed on. And if anyone uses the knowledge for bad or to make money or whatever, let the universe deal with it, because it'll be dealt with.
I mean, you might also like never know. You might be inspiring someone.
And
watching.
that's what I want.
You know, there was that one kid who's
Right.
like, "Oh, I could do that," or I want to be part of that. You know.
You know, that's a good point, because growing up in Hawaii, I was very artistic, but I didn't know what I was gonna do. And when I started learning how to tattoo, no one would teach me, no one would help me. There was no Google back then, back in the 20s when I was tatting.
You guys had rocks and chisels, right?
I feel so old, but back then there was no YouTube like nowadays. People could look, but the problem with nowadays is that you don't know if that's the right information or not. And you can take my information that I'm sharing, take it or leave it, see how it feels to you. But I'm gonna just speak the truth of what I know and go from there. And let's all share this and get it going. So, Hawaiian tattoos it's called Kakao Ika Uhi. Cacao, and obviously that kind of sounds like tatau. So in Hawaii, that would be Kakao Ika Uhi, which means to strike on the black. That's what it means, like word for word, like strike, to strike on the black. And tattoos in Hawaii were primarily done for genealogy and protection. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons, but think about it. That's the main reason, because in Marquesas Island is for like wealth and notoriety, you know, and rites of passage for small. So in Hawaii, it was protection and genealogy. Now, let me tell you how the information was passed on in Hawaii. It was more vertical instead of horizontal, and that means it was passed through generations.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like the elders, the kapuna to the children and the ancestors that way, not to a community, like teaching, like how I'm doing right now. This is horizontal. But I would say the reason why it's a big reason why it's not working today vertically is because in today's world, there's not, you know, like my children, they probably don't want to tattoo.
Yeah, it's not important. Kind of really like it's
kind of hard in the modern world, you know. So we have to adapt, and that's important to know, because if you think about it, if information was passed vertically like that, every village, community, island in the same culture would have different information.
Yep.
Some would match and, you know, would be the same, but some would be completely different. And that's where kauna comes in. And kauna is like a hidden meaning. That's what it means, like hidden meaning or layered meaning. And everything in Polynesia had kauna or meanings to it. Everything.
Okay.
It's kind of like spiritual. It could have to do with mana or descent, like your genealogy. A lot of different meaning, and you don't know. So it's oral tradition. It's just passed down. So a lot of the information that I'm going to be talking about is just what I learned. Yeah. It's what I learned from kapuna elders, books I read, studying in different ways, seminar, whatever. So please share what you guys know. I don't know if we have any tattoo artists watching. If we do, can you just tell us, you know, where your shop is, where you tattoo from. And if you're an artist learning to tattoo or wanting to learn to tattoo, give us a shout. Like, make a comment, let us know. Let's see, who do we got on right now? I'm gonna take a peek real quick. Auntie Faye. Hello, Auntie Faye.
Hey.
Nice. Kalani, always a supporter. How's it, Kalani? Ben. Hello, Ben. James. Who's James?
Yeah, who's that?
James. Auntie Sherry. Hey, what's up, everyone? Thanks for joining. And once again, please share where you guys are watching from too. So, let's see, where was I?
We're talking about the different meanings,
Oral tradition
from
passed
vertical
down.
generations, and nowadays it's not happening that way.
It's all
because-
different.
Yeah.
Nowadays it's all different. So one interesting fact is a lot of times what they would do is they would chant, which is an oli, or prayer is pule. They would chant or pray while tattooing, and they felt that it was locking that prayer into the ink, into the skin permanently.
Yeah.
And that's where the protection came from.
Okay.
So when, there was a lot of battles going, back then, and that's where the protection came in. But also, why was genealogy so important? It's hard for us to understand this, but back then, our ancestors, they felt that they were all descendants from gods.
Okay.
I mean, that's where the Amakua comes from. They felt that, and Amakuas are gods or protectors or family guardians. So they felt that their lines were coming from their ancestors, which led straight to certain gods. And there was so many gods. I said 4. Those were the 4 main ones.
But there's a bunch.
There's hundreds, gods of everything. So, and it necessarily wasn't a religion. They say, the Hawaiian religion, it's just a belief, kind of like the natives, right?
Yeah, it's basically to keep you on your moral route,
With the earth.
with the earth.
To connect with the earth and remember your ancestors and genealogy.
Be
and all
humble,
that. Right.
Never take advantage.
So they would tattoo marks on their body, putting their genealogy and locking it in. It was very important for them. What else? There a lot of the meanings. So they were even said to tattoo their tongues, but there's certain stories where Queen Kaahumanu, tattooed her tongue, and they would tattoo it. It was super painful.
I bet. It was just
super painful.
What they had to.
They would just do it all black, and it would be a way to, kind of in honor of someone that passed away.
Okay. And
I remember there's a story of someone that asked, man, that must have hurt bad.
Yeah, for real. I mean.
And the chief or the queen said, not as bad as who I'm remembering.
Yeah.
It hurts even more. Who I miss that just passed. So they had different reasons for this.
I mean, I guess it kind of goes in when you get a tattoo for somebody, and meaning we're not getting our tongue tattooed, but I mean it's painful. But once you're done with it, I mean it hits you here.
Right.
So I guess every time she would see herself, I mean that was a reminder.
Maybe. I mean, when you go through the process, it's definitely it's a process. Let me just say the tools are different. So, the tattoo tools were hand tap method, but in Hawaii there were some tools found, and here's an example of one of the tools right there. That's from the Bishop Museum.
Oh wow, those are crazy.
And it's similar throughout the Pacific. It's similar. And here's another tool, and this one is very different than Samoa and all of Polynesia. But the reason being is, they said that this one would be great for the tongue.
Oh,
the other one wouldn't be able to reach in the mouth like that, and this one could have been fashioned specifically for a tongue, but also could have been used in other ways. But that's a good example of, a tool in Hawaii, which is different. Hawaiian tattooing is a little different.
Oh, yeah.
So, also let's talk about the tattoos were recorded by different artists that did renderings while they were with Captain Cook and other voyages out there, the missionaries.
Okay.
So they would draw it on, and they would go and look back at these drawings and be able to see what a tattoo back then would look like.
Yeah.
Right? So here's an example of a tattoo, and right to the right you could see really small an ankle tattoo, and it's certain triangles or shark's teeth, nihumano, and then diamonds. So this is sort of a way that they would look and see what they tattooed, and then they would find out why through stories and through different articles that they would read that was written by, or stories that the missionaries would write that were told by the Hawaiians. And so you can imagine that it's hard. It's hard to find the exact meaning of everything. But the ankle tattoo with the shark's teeth, that is a prime example of how the story of the Aumakua.
Yeah.
So if you ever heard of the story, the woman went into the ocean and her Aumakua was a shark.
Yeah.
And the shark wouldn't attack her, and because that's her Aumakua. And all of a sudden the shark came up and bit her on the ankle. And when she yelled out, "What are you doing? You're my Aumakua, this is me." The shark let go, made a mistake, but it said, "Oh, from now on I could see my bite marks, and I'll be reminded, that that's you."
Yeah.
So that's a story that was told, and that's one of the reasons why protection is a meaning for the shark's teeth.
Okay, that makes sense.
And maybe they would, tattoo around their ankles as, a way to protect themselves.
You don't see that anymore, really. You see it more on the arms.
Right. Well, all over, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays. So the thing about tattoo symbols and meanings is that nowadays it's all over the place.
Yeah.
Right? I just explained how it's oral tradition. It's more vertical. It's passed on through story. But what happens when we come into the modern age where there's the internet and money to be made?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So everyone's just doing everything. And it's hard to know the right and the wrong. It's hard to know what's right and what's wrong. And as an artist, that you have to have discernment for that.
Yeah.
And as I've been studying, I've came across some things that I don't feel is right. And here's an example. There's a book called the Polynesian Tattoo Handbook that you can get off Amazon. And I know about this book only from clients that brought in, copies of pages, and I'm looking at it, and it's kind of like, it's very different for me. So if you could see, that says shark, and there's different, meanings for the shark that they give. And if you look on the very top, it has a pattern that it says it's a shark's tooth pattern, but in reality, that's more like a lahala or weave pattern. And it's hard because that when someone comes in and they do their research, and part of their research is going through these books or the internet, then we have to educate. And I have to figure out, like, well, how did they come up with that being shark's teeth? Because it could be, I don't know, but
coming in,
not
like,
to me.
Like, this is what I researched, and this is what I want.
Yeah, this is what I want because this book says this is what it means.
Yeah, and you're almost like, well, not my teachings, I guess.
Yeah, that's not what I learned at all. So it's a prime example that there's things out there that are to just make money, and I believe that this book, I went through this book, and there's a lot of good stuff, but there's some stuff that's a little questionable. So I'd like to figure that out.
Maybe we should write to them. Maybe, like, help them out. Rewrite your book.
Well, maybe. Gotta have time for that.
You got another thing to your list, right?
Yeah. So let me check these comments. Mana. So he said, I read that Sailor Jerry tattoos. Wait, let me see.
It said Sailor Jerry tattoos have roots to Polynesian tattoos.
Oh, have roots to Polynesian. Oh, really?
How?
So Sailor Jerry, a lot of his tattoos were done. They're more the American traditional.
Okay.
Like style.
Yeah.
and people know that. So to have roots to Polynesian, possibly that's
Is it
interesting.
because it's so simple line work?
Well, maybe, yeah, but I do believe that he tattooed out of Hawaii for a while, so
Okay.
maybe there was something
Like
there.
an influence.
Right.
When
Maybe
we
there
going
was
to
something there.
Mexico?
Come to Mexico. You know, we made a trip
Please.
out to Mexico and we tattooed a lot of people in 26 people I tattooed in 5 days. It was really crazy. Me and James went out there, yeah. And I believe I tattooed her. Maybe 26. That's a lot. But yeah, one day. Maybe. I'm all about culture, and when I went out there, I got to see the pyramids out there, and it's spiritual. You feel the mana, and the energy, so that's important. But yeah, maybe we'll see. So, anyways, let's talk about shark's teeth. So we talked about the whale's tooth, right, as an artifact, and so as far as the TATtalk tutorials, I kind of want to do shark's teeth because of the fact that that's one of the most common Hawaiian motifs in tattooing is shark's teeth. And let's start off with saying that it's niho mano. Mano is shark, niho is tooth. So niho mano is the shark's teeth design. And the shark's teeth design can be seen here. I could show you right here. We have the very bottom of the leg. You could see the shark's teeth pattern, all stacked on each other, and this pattern could be used as a weave pattern. A weave, so not necessarily shark's teeth. It could be shark's teeth. Again, it could mean a lot of different things.
I can see where you would.
But it could be the lahala or makaloa, which is a ni'ihau mat. Different mats in Hawaii. And it could be a weave pattern. And here's another example of a stacked pattern of shark's teeth or niho mano, which could be a weave pattern instead of shark's teeth. So that's just some examples.
I mean, it's hard to really see from far away. It would look like a weave to me. Then right, and maybe that's why they did it. Now this example is in memory of Junior Seau, this client. Oh, okay.
He was really close with Junior Seau, and the pattern that he chose represented the people that passed. So not only Junior Seau, but if you see the names, there's other people that passed. So again, genealogy could be used in this pattern. In the past, it could have been seen as genealogy, the shark's tooth pattern or the triangles.
Okay.
To the past and then to the future.
Are those filled in white or are they just lighter than the
just
other
lighter?
Ones? Oh, okay.
It's just lighter, and obviously it's just a different pattern, and it's more modern. Here's another way that they could be stacked. Right here on the top, you see the 3 triangle pattern going across the top, and that also could be a genealogy, which is like stacked. So if you stack it in a triangle, 1 on top, 2 on the bottom, kind of like a pyramid.
Yeah, like a pyramid.
It could be seen as genealogy, moving forward from your ancestors to your descendants. And then this tattoo, if you look at the top and the very bottom, you have a shark's teeth pattern, niho mano, and that's more for protection. Again, it could be protection. It could be so many different things.
Yeah.
For this particular one, protection, and it's encompassing the tattoo on the top and bottom. And these are just different ways to do it.
Yeah.
Different reasons and ways. So here's one last one. You could just see bold. His whole tattoo is Hawaiian inspired. And
are those 2 different types of teeth or just?
Yep, they're on the one to the right. You'll see spearheads. Actually, that's for like a battle warrior. But then the niho mano is on the bottom, like going from the right bottom up to the left.
Okay.
Now a more modern take on the shark's teeth is this last one actually right here. If you look on the shoulder, that design is a more modern take on shark's teeth, which kind of looks more realistic and has a more, it's just different. It's a different pattern.
Yeah, exactly.
But goes with the flow of tattoos. So that's just a quick list, of the tattoo patterns. So
Dang, I know you got a picture of me on my tattoos.
Yeah, where?
Oh, I thought that was me at the end. Thanks, Josh.
Oh,
Made me look like a liar from everybody.
soon, right? Soon. All right, so we're gonna do TATtalk tutorial. You know, I wanna go ahead and get hands on, and I want to show you some things that I see out there, but also that I do, and maybe it can help you guys, maybe not. And please, if you guys are out there as artists and have any ideas for me, learning is never ending. So please share that. I'm always learning. Mana said, real quick, let's hit up some comments. Mana said they took their ideas and seagoing beliefs and tattooed them on themselves like the Polynesian. Oh, so the root, when he said they have roots from Polynesian tattoos, that makes sense because they pretty much would tattoo for the reasons, right? Like in their life.
Oh, okay.
As far as their beliefs when they're out to sea and stuff.
Like,
so they would.
You see like the seagull and then the suns, like the different symbols.
Yeah, the eagle representing like America or something.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that makes sense. Kalani, he says, what I like about these tats that you show and what you do, that shadow that is within the tat makes it stand out more. I should redo mine by adding in those shadows. And let me tell you, just a quick fact, fun fact. I got a lot of flack for doing the shading when I first started doing Polynesian tattoos because of the fact that it wasn't traditional. And these are just the growing pains in modernizing traditional crafts, I guess. Not crafts, tattoos, but arts, traditional arts like tattooing. And even though some very well-known artists kind of gave me crap for it, I always respect them and I give them love, and I just keep doing what I feel, not out of disrespect, but out of what I feel in my heart. And my personal belief is that if our ancestors had the tools that we had, they would
do the same.
And that's just my belief, because they were really into nature, and maybe they wouldn't pick up the tools because they would rather use bone and sticks and, you know, nature to do it. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just being led and guided. And I you know, and there's other artists that do it their way, and it's completely different, and I don't think it's right and wrong either way. It's just you do what you do.
We're moving forward. You know,
move forward. Yeah. And intent is very, very important. So what I'm going to show you guys here today, please ask questions if you have any, but intent is important. Do the right thing. And I think the worst thing is just doing things for money.
Yeah.
Even though we all have bills and stuff, we get it. But
you're gonna see the different tattoos of people who do it for money. Like
you know,
you're gonna see, it's like anything you do in life, what you put into it is what you get out of it. So I'm just putting that half effort in it and not my soul. You're gonna see the difference.
Right.
In the work, you know.
It's true. Yeah. Kalani said our ancestors were also innovative. They did that when they were influenced by Europeans. So the filling in or shadowing is no different. Awesome. That's a good take on it. That's true. And, you know, our ancestors, even going back to Kamehameha, which everyone knows, the great King Kamehameha, he wore European clothes. You know, when the first, when they wanted to do the portrait, they wanted to do a portrait of him in his cloak, you know, his feathers. His traditional garb, and he didn't want to. He wanted to be in the European. I feel that he wanted to move forward with the world, not necessarily be overthrown, and just do everything they did. But
you figured if it's all happening,
adapt,
you should
I guess.
Adapt to it and move forward with it. You
right.
know? It'd be easier if someone who was in power does it, and then everybody would follow. Follow the leader. You know. And
I don't think that's why. Queen Liliuokalani got overthrew. That's definitely not because they were moving forward. That's not. They were just all wrong. You know, agricultural, like Dole and all them, and that's a whole nother story. But you know, they
Yeah.
just screwed over the people and just made up stuff.
It's another story
really,
for
they
another
just made
day,
it all
yeah.
up. Anyway, so let's do this. So one very important thing that I want to share that I learned throughout Polynesia, I learned this from chiefs, actually specifically Chief Miko from Tahiti. He told me about pathways, and if you look at Polynesian tattoos, a lot of them have these pathways. And right now, really quick, I'm gonna just do some common symbols. Now, as you can see, I'm drawing these lines. This is really, really rough. But for you artists out there, you might do this already, but you new artists, one thing, I'll tell you my secrets here. Took me years to do this. Anyways, one thing that I realized is when you draw these symbols, if you sit there and draw each one to completion,
Yeah. That's how I try to do it.
they won't be as perfect because you're drawing it to completion. And you have to make these angles and you have to turn and everything. And you might see that in some work because they're trying to create these patterns all to completion, each one, and stack it. What I learned, which is better, is to take the symbols, like you know which one you're doing. And like I did earlier, if you just do one line in repetition, and then you do the other line in repetition.
Oh man, I got the secret. I'm coming
Well,
up.
most artists know this, but if you don't, you know, check it out. Your hand, it's a lot easier to do something perfect the same all the time than to do like 4 lines in different angles all the time. It's easier to do that one angle, and you can do better work. And that's just a quick side note.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with Nihonmano or shark's teeth. Now, very important. Again, Chief Miko told me this. Ha. You heard Brooke Parker earlier talk about ha, which is the breath. Very important in nature, in life, everything is the breath. Now, he said in tattoos it's the same. You could breathe life into tattoos, and tattoos need life. So when you stack symbols, for instance, the Nihonmano, a lot of times for protection, we'll do another pathway like that, and we'll do shark's teeth. Now, I'm not saying this is a traditional pattern and symbol for protection. I'm saying this is another option.
Okay.
This is another option.
Yeah.
So, when you do this, it's very important to have a pathway right here. Chief Miko explained that this right here is breathing. And if you add another one, you can add it here. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up specifically is because some work that I've seen is, I have to keep redoing this. Let's say you have all these designs, and I'm doing the spearhead because this is one of the most common Polynesian symbols you see everywhere. And then the Nihonmano is great for adding on. So some Polynesian designs that I see have the Nihonmano attached to it like this.
Okay.
And they color it in.
With no
No space.
Yes.
No
okay.
pathway. Now, if you see that, it, you know, like I said, it's all interpretation. It's the artist. There's no right or wrong. I mean, I think the only wrong is if you have bad intent and you don't know what you're doing. That's wrong. I think the right thing is to care about what you're doing and kind of learn and, you know, share, educate, all that. So if you could see right here, there's no pathway. There's no breath. You're stacking designs one on top of each other. I believe that it could be. I heard. I'm not gonna say from which artist.
Yeah.
But you clients out there, those of you getting a Polynesian tattoo, be aware of this. I heard that if you do line work like that and you do your symbols, now we all know that Polynesian tattooing can be very stressful and long sessions. Lines could possibly be like that. I don't know. And if so, if you as an artist just, oh man, maybe artists are going to get mad at me. I don't know. But you know what? I don't care because
Do it.
I don't care. I don't care because of the fact that Polynesian tattoos have mana
Mm-hmm.
and it has heart, and we have to do things right. We have to do things right. So if you're trying to use a crutch or do a shortcut, I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right. This might not be a crutch or a shortcut. And awesome if an artist has a reason why they're doing it. I'm just telling you what I've learned. I'm sharing it. Okay, so if you look, I can easily straighten this line out.
Yeah.
And then I can easily draw triangles right over the crooked lines.
Oh, and then you.
And it looks exactly
Dang. Magic.
like that one. They look exactly alike.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like very lazy on that one. You know, and it's not, this is your skin. You guys out there getting tattoos, this is your skin. You artists out there, share your knowledge with me, why you would do this. Because, you know, I won't do it because where the path that I took learning the Polynesian through Chief Miko and others, I really feel that this way right here is way more important.
I think the part like
to breathe.
Breathing. Yeah, you want to breathe.
To
you
breathe.
Know, that's life.
Right. Now, that's Nihomano, and that's a way to surround protection. But again, it could be genealogy. Now, if you look at this pattern right here, you see this a lot, right?
Okay.
You see this pattern a lot. And this we saw this in the earlier tattoos that I showed, an example. And this pattern right here could be, it could be protection too. But I've had some clients in the past, along with some kupuna, tell me about genealogy. How this pattern can represent genealogy.
Yeah.
Your lineage going down the line. And once again, it's interpretation. But it's very important. Okay, here's a trickaroo.
Ooh, I'm excited. Show me.
For you new artists out there, you tattoo artists have been tatting forever. You totally know this, but I'm all about the new artists because I want to help share and help to give a vehicle, you know, a way that the new artists can learn.
It's a little platform.
Yeah, I don't want them to, you know, make mistakes on people, even though they will. That's part of it. But always remember, if you draw a stencil on somebody like that, and you, okay, let's say right here, this is a pen mark, and I drew this pattern on them. So what happens is, if I tattoo right over that line, I'm going to come out with this. And if you notice, this triangle right here is smaller than these three, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's not equal.
Yep.
So what I'm supposed to do as an artist, a tattoo artist, and this is something I learned a long time ago from an old school tattoo artist.
Okay.
And this is more technical. So you guys are getting technical and Polynesian tattooing.
Pull that pen out, start taking notes.
So what you're supposed to do is tattoo it on the inside of the line. And when you tattoo on the inside of the line, that inside triangle will be the same size as
Oh, I get what you're saying.
the rest.
Okay.
Because the line that you do becomes black.
Yeah.
Very important.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why is this important when it comes to Polynesian tattoos? Because the whole tattoo should be close to
Flow.
perfect.
Yeah,
I don't know.
flow.
That's just me. I try my best to do everything like perfect, and you put a lot of time and effort, and you badass artists out there know what I'm talking about. And there's a lot of good Polynesian artists out there. So it's all about the new artists that are coming up.
Yep.
Or the artists in your garage. Get out of the garage and get in shops.
Yeah.
And step up your game. Like, do good work, because this is our culture. This is your culture. And we want our work to represent our culture.
Yeah.
And this is part of it. Not
Perfection.
only the meanings, the quality.
Yeah.
The quality. So, real quick, different. We're gonna have to go soon. I can. Oh my goodness, I could talk all day. And you know what? We will. Every show. Remember, every show, every week, every Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We go live. It's all about culture. Journey through Pacific. Next week's gonna be Guam. We're gonna go in opposite direction. We're gonna hit Guam. It's not Polynesia, but it is Pacific.
Yeah.
And we're only gonna do Guam because I'm Chamorro, so I gotta hit Hawaii and Guam first, and then we're gonna go throughout Pacific. And we're gonna talk tattoos. We're gonna talk culture, and we're gonna do a food. So please join us. Share this. I'm gonna real quick go over some other Nihomano designs that you guys can use. You have the stack pattern that you saw earlier. Oh man, I feel like I could just keep going and going. You have different stack patterns. You have this one. And please don't mind my crooked lines, because I'm like actually rushing, and I don't tattoo on a dry
Dang, those are
board.
crooked?
Yeah. Okay, so obviously these get all black, and one thing that you guys should know also is that the patterns, there's positive and negative. So as you could see, the shark's teeth are pointing this way, but the negative is pointing that way. And there's also a lot of different reasons why they would have the triangles pointing up or down. This is one pattern, but also you probably see many patterns like this. Again, Nihomano. So these are triangles, right? And then you're gonna do like this, but then they're going to, I mean, it goes on and on. And again, it's stacked. And like I said earlier, this could be actually a weave pattern. It could be a Lauhala pattern or a Makaloa. It all depends what you're doing and why you're doing it. So these are stack patterns, and then you have patterns that are just rows of Nihomano triangles, and you could stack these, and then you see some that are more narrow. A lot of the narrow ones could be spears, you know, and we're doing all these different variations, and it's just Hawaiian. We're still with Hawaiian. This isn't even any other Polynesian cultural designs. It's just straight Hawaiian and just Nihomano, just the shark's teeth.
That is crazy.
And I could go on and on. Okay,
we got one good question though.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm not.
No, you're good. Julio was asking if can a non-Polynesian get a poly tattoo?
You know, that is the question of the century. I say that because you know, Polynesian tattoos started going out throughout the world. Well, back in missionary times, but more in a more popular sense.
Yeah.
When the Rock got his tattoo, when before that, other people would get it, but it got very mainstream and popular when the Rock got his tattoo.
Yep.
And let me just tell you, that question, can a non-Polynesian get a Polynesian tattoo? I've heard everything from only from a Polynesian tattoo artist. Okay, that's one answer I've heard. I've heard no. I've heard just general tribal, that means general things.
Yeah.
I've heard that. I've heard yes, of course. So me personally, since I started tattooing, I always felt that you're giving up your body to share another culture.
Yep.
you want to represent, or you love that culture so much, you're so proud of that you want to represent it to the world. So then I wanted to share that with people, which meant I had to learn myself a lot. Then it got in a more controversial topic, like probably 2005-6-ish.
Yeah.
It got crazy because people were getting stopped saying, why do you have a Polynesian tattoo? And then clients would come in, and it was a really big topic. So what I did was when I went with Ali'i Nui, with Kingdom of Atui throughout Polynesia, I asked the elders. That was the number one question I asked them. If anyone knows the answer to that, it's the elders, the kapuna, the chiefs throughout Polynesia.
Yeah.
What do they think? Because if they don't give the blessing for that, then maybe I need to rethink what I'm doing. And I asked them that, and every single one from Rapa Nui, New Zealand, Aotearoa, Tahiti, they all had this. When I asked them that, they all, you know what?
We'll wait on that.
We'll wait on that. We'll wait on that.
No, I was gonna say
We'll wait on that because we got the Hawaiian food. And I wanna. That's a really good question.
You know what?
But I did ask them that question, and I got a very clear answer. And
I think it would be good for the Hawaiian food segment that we lead into it, is being that I messed up the beginning. We could start with our journey through Polynesia, and then to our food. So it's like we're going into the island with the food. Being that I messed up, we had the video in the beginning, so we just show that. Boom, and then food. Boom. Okay,
so what do you want to do right now?
So the journey to Poly.
Let's do it. All right, guys. So we're gonna. You know what? TATtalk tutorial.
The very first.
For today. Hopefully, it was a success.
Drums.
And starting next week, we're gonna continue that. We're gonna go over symbols of different cultures. Next week is Guam, which is really hard, but I'll share what I do know, and hopefully, you guys can share with me and everyone else. This is live. But right now, let's get into the cultural food, and we'll start off with Journey to the Pacific. Let's see it.
We're going to see it. Promise.
Right now.
Right now.
Hawaii. First stop, Hawaii. So this week we're doing Hawaiian culture, and for you tattoo artists out there watching, please stick with us, because tattooing isn't just about the art; it's about the culture, and that's what I learned the most when I started researching, not through books, not through the internet and videos, but talking with the elders and the kapuna and being able to travel. And I want to be able to share that with you. So everything that you saw in that video, Journey to the Pacific, that was just me with my phone videoing all that. We edited it, but that's us out there, and more importantly, we want you guys to share with us. So let's do the cultural food. So shout out to Auntie Adele and Uncle for, they lived out in Waipio Valley in the Big Island for over 20 years. No electricity. They just straight survived, and more than survived. I don't want to say survived, because they were abundant. They taught us a lot. They're one of the elders.
They were just living. They weren't surviving. They were just
and you know what? Check out the podcast, season 1. She Auntie came on and was talking about different ways, simple things like putting a cooler in the lake and tying it for the refrigerator. That was their They didn't have electricity, so they would put a cooler, tie it with a rope in the lake, and put things that had to be kept cold. They would drink fresh water. I mean, all that stuff. But check that podcast. Anyways, they cooked us some good food, and we're gonna talk about it right now. So, courtesy of Auntie Adele again and Uncle Randy. Let's see. So, the first thing I want to introduce, now this is cultural food from Hawaii again, guys. So, first thing is dry akule, or dry fish or mackerel, akule. Now, this is traditionally dried in a dry box in the sun for half a day, but today it's dried by an oven or a dehydrator or something. So we got dry fish here, and that's what I'm talking about. You see that platter, guys?
Ooh.
That is, oh no, that, I can't wait. Man, I'm hungry. Okay, so the second thing, we got dry land pake kalo, or taro. Now, pake means Chinese. So that's Chinese kalo. And kalo is Hawaiian for taro. So that's Chinese taro, for those of you that don't know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Auntie Adele says that the dry land taro is said to be more moist than the wet land taro, which is kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
And it differs from texture and taste than the wetland one. So there are different types of kalo. The dry land one can be harvested faster, and wetland one has better yield and much more dense. The wetland taro can grow anytime because you have more control of the water as long as you keep the water flowing. And that's probably most of the taro that everyone sees is the wetland one, and you know, all the in the taro patches. Okay, so the third thing we have is uala, or sweet potato. Now, the canoe plant brought to Hawaii by the Polynesians, so they brought that to Hawaii on the canoes way back in the day. Sweet potato. Then we have the dry aku, ahi fish that is salted and dried in the sun, again, kind of like the akule. And then, man, we have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Lomi kohu.
We're so hungry.
Raw ahi tuna with seaweed. Lomi kohu. Man. Ahi poke. That's raw ahi tuna with Hawaiian salt and seaweed. This is real stuff, not store-bought, guys. And then poi. Poi made from taro. You know, we all know poi from luau's and all that in Hawaii, and it's my favorite food in the world. It's my most favorite food in the world.
Is it because you grew up with it, or is it just the taste?
I love it. I love the taste. I love everything, but I think I have the taste because I grew up in Hawaii and ate it a lot. But well, not a lot. It was a treat. It's expensive in Hawaii, so. And then, well, the last thing we have inamona, which is seasoning made from roasted kukui nut and salt. Okay, so that right there is inamona, and it's kukui nuts. So you guys see the kukui nut leis and necklaces? That's the actual nut that had to be cooked and roasted for, and it's made like a seasoning. It's often used in poke or sushi. According to Uncle Randy, kukui nuts are used medicinally to treat thrush in children too. So if you know anyone that has thrush, kukui nuts. And also if you eat too much, you'll get the
diarrhea,
craps in the pants.
Give me some of that.
You'll get the bleep diarrhea. Okay, so if you are kind of constipated, get some kukui nuts or inamona. All right, so let's show a video real quick. How I want you guys to see how taro is made, because we see, I mean, how poi is made. We see poi all the time in luau's and all that, but I want you guys to see this kupuna with his grandkid or the youth, you know, making poi, and then also the inamona, how that was made. So we'll see this right now. That's awesome.
Wee.
No, that's good. That's handmade, as you could see, the poi, and that was a different color. I think different taros have different colors once it's like cooked.
Okay.
And they kept adding the water, and they kept pounding the poi. Now this is a poi pounder. I showed this earlier. It's an artifact from the 1700s, but this is what they were using to pound the poi. And the awesome thing is that there's still remnants of poi on the bottom of this poi pounder. So,
Ooh.
you know, our ancient ancestors actually were making poi from this poi pounder. These are artifacts I want you guys to come and check out, because this is our, you know, our this is our history right here. And as you could see, this is also a poi pounder from the Marquesas, which is shaped differently.
Okay.
So we recently were able to get this, and I guess they're very rare from the Marquesas Islands because of the fact that Marquesas goes even further back than Hawaii. But it's a little different. The top is a little wider.
It looks a little heavier.
It's flatter on the bottom, and I think there's different reasons why they would do it. But I don't know. I think this one's heavier. The Hawaiian poi pounder is heavier. But that's that's the poi. That's poi and poi pounder. But let's go into inamona, the kukui nut. For those of you that don't, know that you can eat it. It's done with the seasoning. But here, let's see it getting cooked. And once again, the kukui nut, this is what it looks like. Not these right here, but right here, the kukui nut. You guys seen it in Hawaii or throughout the Pacific. So that is the inamona. So you guys got to learn a lot about the Hawaiian culture, the Hawaiian food. And also, if you could show that, it's on the tea leaf plant. And I just want to say the tea leaf itself is part of the platter, and that's how they serve the poi and all the food. This is a really good presentation. Auntie and uncle, much love. Mahalo, mahalo, mahalo to you guys for putting in that love and aloha in this cooking of the food preparation, sharing all the knowledge. Look at that. Now, the tea leaves also are used in cooking, but also in medicine. It's a blessing when it's used to ward off evil spirits or protect the house. There's so many different reasons that they would use the tea leaf.
Good medicine.
So there you go.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the show, guys. Real quick, once again, for you listeners out there, 40% off just for you guys, though. Okay? Because you guys are supporting the show and sharing culture. We have a new shirt design right here, the Kaika Warrior helmet design. So I drew that maybe 2 months ago, and we decided to put it on a shirt. Everything we do is limited. So we're trying to raise funds for the museum. We have artifacts that I'm trying to get from the collector before he gets rid of it to private collectors. I'm trying to get it for our museum. Remember, this is our, like not mine, like your museum, the People's Museum. We want you guys to come out and enjoy it. Shout out to Charles Modern for donating not only artifacts but money. He donated to the fund. And those of you that want to get this shirt, it's going to be available for a limited time, because we only do a limited amount because we don't print our own shirts now, and we focus on tattoos. So check this out. It's on the website islandtat.com. Go to the shop tab and you guys can order that. If you don't get it before Friday, you can still get it, but you won't have the 40% off.
And
so
the code.
we have the crazy 40% off for you guys. Type in the code Hawaii as soon as you see it. It's going to be on the site tonight.
Oh, cool.
Right when we're done with the show. I got to get to work.
Boom.
But yeah, that's going to be on the show. And we also want to end it with a topic of the week. So we have something new, guys. Topic of the week. And we're going to do a kind of a controversial topic or just a question that we want to pose to you guys. And we want you guys to engage, comment. We're going to go ahead and post this question on the TATtalk page after the show. And today's question is Moana's costume racist?
Ooh.
That's the question. Now,
I think cultural appropriation probably a better word.
well, I've seen that. It said, "Oh, Moana's costume is racist."
Oh,
You know,
okay.
I've seen it, and Cosmopolitan actually came out with an article saying that, you know, if a mom dresses a kid
I see where you're going with
in
this.
a
Okay.
in a Moana costume,
Mhm.
she's pretty much culturally appropriating or being racist because our skin color as a Polynesian
match
isn't a Halloween costume. And that, you know, I don't want to get into it, but that's what they say. And it was kind of very popular, that topic. So I want to pose it to you guys. I want to hear what you guys have to say. And we're not going to talk about it right here. We're going to talk about it next week after I read all you guys' comments. And so come back next week. If you make a comment and you have something to say about it, talk about it. We're going to talk about it next week when we start the show. So we'll see you guys next week. We'll see you for the TATtalk tutorial. Thanks for joining us, and hit us up through Messenger or email islandtat@gmail.com if you want to give ideas or share information or be a guest on the show.
Yeah.
Either way.
Wow.
All right. So we'll see you guys 6:30 next week, Tuesday, Pacific Standard Time on
Later.
TATtalk. See you guys.